Everybody's life changed. What really happened is her death brought that family so close together. And we were much closer after her death than ever before. We'd meet, the girls or the women had started to hang out together. Even though they were married, they didn't make time to spend a day or an evening. They'd go out to eat together. And the boys, well, we gathered around the games. Everyone's life changed, and we start to realize what death means. It's so final. And we wanted to cherish the time that we had with each other. And there's nothing like that to bring a family together. One of the things I always remember about her death was my oldest son, Tommy. We knew she was dying and she had only hours to live. And he was kind of tears in his eyes, and he said, you know, I'm so sorry. I never had the chance, or never did I tell her how much I appreciated all the time she spent with me and all the games that she went to and she sat in the crowd. I always loved to see her in the crowd, and it was quite touching. And that he remembered, he was about 52 years old at the time. But that was one of the things that he remembered.
Mom ran everything. Mom ran the social life. Mom handled the bills. Dad brought his check home, as many husbands do, and Mom put it where it needed to go and paid the bills. I can remember Coach ran camp for years and years and years, and he's still running camp now, since 1945 or 46. Mom would put 6 kids and a dog in a station wagon with all the luggage for 2 months, and Coach would take the train up. Mother laid out his clothes. Mother developed us as far as basketball was concerned. Coach was always busy, didn't have time. I can remember one instance where I did a poor job of handling the ball. It was about 11 o'clock at night. My mother got me out of bed because my dad just got home. She brought me down. My dad brought me down in the basement, and he worked on my ball handling, which still isn't too good, but we did work kind of late at night. Mom was the father and the mother for so many years. She was always there. She's the one that would talk about playing hard. And she would say, you're only as good as you think you are. And she was very, very emphatic about playing hard and aggressive. And Coach, when he had the time, got to the games, but Mom really was mother and father for a long, long time. I didn't think Coach was going to make it. You know, there's so many couples that where one spouse, one of the married dies and the other one doesn't make it. Coach couldn't literally function for 6 months. And I mean, we had to drive him everywhere. What really kicked him back in is we drove him to camp. And he has that camp in Wisconsin. And when he got up there, he came to life. I mean, it was gradual, but he came to life. He really didn't function. Because as I said, my mother laid out, she bought his clothes, she laid out his clothes, she told him where he was going, what he was doing. She handled all the money. He was in a walking coma for almost a month, and then somebody's great idea decided, let's bring him up to camp. And it was like having a small child in the house. And once he got up there, it was just amazing. Day by day, he grew. I think that there's times he's very lonely, and my sisters take special care to be there for him. But I do feel that he's living his life now with a piece missing. And there's no one that can make up for that.
I probably took the wrong approach. I didn't do much, I didn't go out much, and didn't depend on my friends to help me along through a trying period. If I were to tell somebody, I remember Moose Krause, when his wife died, he called and said, what do I do? And I told him, don't do what I did, just go out with your friends. That's what your wife would want you to do. She wouldn't want you to sit home and just remember her and sit there and mope around. Life goes on, and I know it's very hard to do, but it's the right thing to do. You have to get on with your life. It's the same as you lost a game. You can't sit there and brood about that game for months and months. The next day, you got to think of what you're going to do the next time and just improve your life, or you'll never. I look at it this way, in regards to my wife or anybody loses a spouse, just try to remember all the good things you had And don't dwell on the past, or don't dwell on you're alone now. Don't dwell on that. Just think of the good things and go on with your life. We were playing Kentucky. We lost down there by about 18 points, and 3 weeks later we played them at the Chicago Stadium. We led them all the way in that game. With 6 seconds to play, they scored and got within 1 point of us. They called timeout to save the clock, and our boys were running over, said, Coach, we did it. We beat the #1 team in the nation. I said, wait a minute, we got 6 seconds to play. And remember, you don't have to advance the ball over midcourt. If you're going to get tied up with the ball, throw it to the ceiling. By the time it comes down, the game will be over. All this sounded well. We inbounded the ball, our guard turned, little boy from Kentucky took it out of his hand, one dribble, put it in, and we lost. And I again went down to the press, gave my little talk to the press, and I went in the locker room. All the boys had showered, but the one boy who had the ball stolen from him, he was sobbing, he had a towel over his head. So I sat next to him and said, you won many, many games for DePaul. You can't live with this the rest of your life. Besides that, we wouldn't even have been in the game if it weren't for your great play. I said, tomorrow's going to be Sunday whether we won or lost. You have to live it. It's over with. You can't do anything about it. So I waited for him to shower. We went out of the locker room together and left the stadium. I drove home. I was home about a half an hour when the phone rang. It was my wife. She said, Ray, what are you doing at home? I said, I came home right after the ball game. She said, yes, but don't you remember? You took me to the game. I'm at the stadium. Well, it only happened once. It never happened again. Then I knew who was boss.